very good Thursday evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted tonight. A pretty decent day across northern Michigan after some overnight showers. It started to dry out a bit, but now it looks like some more showers are on the way. So, Joe, who will be seeing even more rain tonight?
Yeah, areas south of Traverse City, I think the best chance tonight for a shower or thunderstorm. But unlike last night when it rained all night for most spots, these will kind of pass through pretty quickly. And away from that region, everybody else should stay dry tonight. So pretty quiet. But it is going to get much more active tomorrow night into Saturday, in particular up north. Could maybe see some severe weather, Maya, at least the risk for that, some heavy rain. And then, of course, the heat building. I mean, we're not just talking, it might be 85 degrees. It may feel like 100 degrees in some spots on Sunday. So we're going to talk about all that coming up a little later, too.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Let's start with our top story tonight. Uncertainty, rarely a good thing in the world of business. We've seen its impact on Wall Street, and now we're starting to see it on Main Street. The latest data suggests the current trade policies and tariffs coming out of Washington have a lot of consumers changing their spending habits, and that is having an impact on small businesses across northern Michigan. Here is Mark Schlett with that story.
Visitors are still coming. It's Traverse City. They're going to come. But they're spending more cautiously.
Karen Roof owns My Secret Stash and two other downtown Traverse City small businesses. And she's seen a trend with both locals and the all-important out-of-town visitors.
They're booking shorter stays, they're dining out less, and being more selective with their purchases.
And she isn't alone.
I speak to so many of our fellow business owners and managers and staff people downtown.
They say they're seeing similar trends, folks scaling back on spending because of economic uncertainty.
Customers are simply not shopping because they're paranoid or frightened or aware that they're going to lose their job or that their costs are going to go so high that they can't kind of afford to enjoy themselves.
And that's how Karen found herself testifying in Lansing at a Senate Oversight Committee hearing.
Today, we're going to be discussing the economic impact and declining consumer confidence that we're seeing here in Michigan, but also throughout the country. Based on economic decisions that are coming out of Washington.
State senators hoping to hear from those on the front lines about the real impact that uncertainty is having.
A study was recently done and data was released from the University of Michigan that shows that consumer sentiment recently plunged to the second lowest levels since the early 50s.
Called to testify, experts who keep their fingers on the pulse of consumer confidence.
Overall, consumers are expecting a resurgence of inflation and an economic slowdown, and they don't really have the strength and income expectations to support strong spending through that.
Michiganders feeling uncertain and scaling back their spending.
Most recent retail sales numbers came out for May, and that ended up being, it shrank even more than experts had expected, and that's consistent with this downward trend that we had seen for 4 straight months.
So in response, those small businesses are scaling back, hiring less seasonal help, and feeling uncertain about the policies of the future, so they're not looking as far down the road.
We've had to scale back marketing, limit staffing, and rethink how we operate on every single day.
In a time of year when small businesses usually cash in to make it through the slower months, for many, right now, it's a matter of survival.
The economic instability, fluctuating costs, and changing consumer behavior have created a level of stress that's really hard to describe. It's not just about money. It's about the emotional weight of trying to hold it all together.
That was our Mark Schlett reporting, and Mark is joining us live now to dig a little deeper into this story. So, Mark, you mentioned this a little bit. We heard from Karen in your story, but can you go into some more detail about exactly how our businesses having to adjust due to this uncertainty?
Well, they're having to adjust like almost every single day. The big one up here, anecdotally at least, seems to be hiring. You drive around and a lot of places are hiring as they typically do this time of year. They hire those seasonal workforces to handle the increased customers, the increased crowds, the increased business at their shops. What they're doing, though, is a lot of these businesses are making those hires and then having to scale back on hours for these employees. So they might have a pool of 100 workers that they've hired for the summer, but as they're going through and seeing that the numbers for sales aren't quite adding up, they're having to adjust. They can't pay people if they're not making sales, right? So you may see some seasonal workers, the college students, whatnot, not getting the 40 hours that they typically would, but instead getting far fewer hours.
Sure. And we heard Karen also mention that they're seeing still about the same amount of foot traffic. People are still coming to Traverse City. They're still walking around downtown, popping in stores. They're just not spending as much money. And of course, during the summer seasons, like we heard in your story, that is the time where so many of these businesses rely on summertime sales. And so how are they able to kind of get through the winters then when their summers aren't as busy? Oh no, this is what I was afraid of I was hoping we'd still hear Mark, but for some reason it looks like we lost him. So some questions left unanswered there for Mark. Maybe he'll be able to join us after we get this technical difficulty figured out. But let's take a look at our question of the day in the meantime, related to that story. And that is, have you been scaling back on your discretionary spending? Take a look at this QR code on your screen right now. Scan it with your phone. What was that in the back? Oh, all right. Yep. So we're going to just not go back to Mark. That's okay, though. So scan the QR code on your phone right now and you can vote. We have 191 votes, and no surprise here, majority of people are saying yes, they are scaling back on their spending. It looks like 66% voted yes so far. And we have 72 comments over on our Facebook page. So if you want to join in on the conversation, not only can you vote on our question, we can also leave a comment, and I will take a look at those toward the end of the show. Sorry about that. But we do have some other great stories to share with you. So teams from all over, not just the country, but all over the world are in northern Michigan for the 2025 May Underwater ROV World Championship. And this year's host is the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary in our very own Alpena, Michigan. Up North Live's Mary Jane Glynn was able to talk to some of the teams as they were testing out their ROVs before the competition.
Competitors from all around the world have come to Michigan to show off their underwater remote-operated vehicles. They come in all shapes and sizes. The mission is to inspire and challenge students as they create their ROVs while also designing new operating parts and systems.
What we have in our system right now is the world's smallest network switch, which was designed by us in-house. It's also fully open source. It costs $7, which is like 90% off commercial options, and we're really proud of that.
A team from Italy has a ROV designed to make research in deeper parts of the ocean safer.
Life-saving because, for example, it can go deeper than people in real life and can stay underwater for about maybe 8 minutes, 9 minutes, and can risk life. Instead, our robots can stay whenever they want, and if it breaks, it's a thing. It's not a human life, so you lost an object and you can rebuild it.
These teams are the best of the best across the globe and have worked countless hours to make it to this competition.
Stay in our labs, taking double shifts, working through the night, and just working all night long to achieve our tasks every day. And it was a long journey.
Even facing challenges that some may not have even thought of.
But also, getting the equipment, shipping it from the US, most of our equipment couldn't be available in Egypt. It was a great challenge that we got the equipment from the US and all over the world.
Beyond this competition, everyone's ROVs are a tool to help us further understand and discover the mysteries of the ocean.
They're getting more people involved in ocean engineering. They're bringing awareness to the impact of, pollution and preserving ecosystems. So all of this is compounded into one big package, right? It's a chance for young people to practice real engineering as well as to bring more support for our oceans.
In Alpena, Mary Jane Glynn, Up North Live News.
It's just amazing that teams from all over the world are in Alpena for this competition. A fun fact, I actually, when I was in 5th grade, competed in an ROV competition there at the Plaza Pool in Alpena. It wasn't the World Championships. I think it was probably just a local competition, but still pretty cool to now see people, again, from all over the world coming to Alpena to compete in a really awesome competition. All right, well, we are now focusing on protecting Michigan's great outdoors. This comes as urban development continues to increase economic opportunity. Meteorologist Trevor Robideau spoke with the Cadillac Area Land Conservancy about how you can protect your land and support local wildlife.
The Cadillac Area Land Conservancy, or CALC, has been working for over 30 years to protect natural land. Its goal is to protect the environment from being destroyed or developed for urban sprawl.
With the growth that we've seen and will be seeing, we're working hard to help preserve natural spaces, enhance wildlife, preserve watersheds or riverfronts, lakefronts, wetlands, which all goes to wildlife habitat and water quality.
Land conservancies like Calc can provide conservation easements that can be used for these watersheds or for family farms.
Farmlands get swallowed up with development. We need farmlands for food. A lot of families have family farms that are becoming harder and harder to afford, and conservation easement preserve those properties from development or from just being absorbed.
This beautiful piece of land in Cadillac is the Waldeck Island Nature Preserve, and it is a great example of land that was protected by Calc forever. Now you can take a stroll on this remarkable trail and enjoy beautiful nature and public access.
We're standing next to Stone Ledge Lake, where a major portion of the property was put into a conservation easement by the previous landowner, George Rock, and then eventually was donated to the Land Conservancy. And so you have a natural shoreline here, which is rare in northern Michigan.
Cunningham worked as a volunteer for Calc for many years and also is someone who used an easement to protect his property.
I've always been outdoor orientated. And when I saw that land was being converted to uses that were going to make that was going to prohibit that type of activity, I was interested in programs that would preserve it, including with my own land.
Now he still owns all the property rights minus the ability to develop it, which Cunningham says is an often misunderstood aspect of an easement.
When you put a conservation easement on your personal property, it's not like you give away all your personal property rights. So I still have the ability to harvest timber on my land or keep people out of it if I want it, post it for no trespassing. But what it does is it protects the land even after I'm gone.
In Wexford County, Trevor Robideau, UpNorthLive News.
All right, let's take a quick break, but coming up in just a few minutes, we'll bring back in Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix. He has a lot to unpack in weather. He'll talk about what we can expect for our Friday, any potential severe weather for some areas on Saturday, and then a look ahead to that mini heat wave on Sunday. All of those details straight ahead.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, a lot of people are talking about the weather this weekend already. Saturday, some potential for severe weather in some areas. Sunday is going to be very hot. And Joe, I know you'll talk more about that, but what can we expect for our Friday? Let's back up a little bit first.
Yeah, good idea. We do have some storms coming in Friday night, Saturday, especially north, but even tonight, there's the chance for a shower or storm in the lower peninsula. And then tomorrow, too, it's not going to be completely dry. But up until late Friday, Saturday, it'll be just kind of quiet. We're not looking at any major weather coming in. And then, of course, we have the heat, too. So that's number one. We have a round of storms late Friday into Saturday north. And, right now we always use Gaylord kind of the middle point, but Gaylord north is where most of this will occur, we believe. Could be changes, but there's potential for some severe weather late Friday into Saturday north. And then that's going to sweep in the heat once that front passes through here. A mini heat wave on the way Sunday and Monday. We're looking at a lot of 90s. The heat index, what it feels like, it's like the brother of the wind chill. It'll feel like 100 degrees when you factor in the humidity in some spots. And then cooler later next week. So this will last a couple of days. If you're wondering, is it going to be hot all next week? No. We will gradually cool down, but it does stay active with some showers and thunderstorms. Here's what's happening tonight. We do have a few showers and storms. Well, actually, you know what? I want to go to the surface map. I'll show this right now. The low that brought all the rain last night is up there around Ottawa, moving away from us. But to the north, there is a cold front kind of stalled out over the UP. And ahead of that, there are some showers and a few thunderstorms. And there they are in parts of Wisconsin. In fact, just off to the northwest of Green Bay, there are a couple severe thunderstorm warnings right now for a few of these. I imagine some of these will survive their trip across the lake. We've already had a little bit of rain around Ludington. We can see that there into, portions of Lake County, Mason County, now into Oceana County, a little bit of rain there. And then here are these thunderstorms. Some of these are dropping some small to medium-sized hail there northwest of Green Bay. So we'll see if these make their way across the lake. But if we do, we'll keep that chance for a shower or storm overnight tonight. You see that right there? That's around midnight. Now, tomorrow, a big cluster of storms is going to form on the edge of the dome of heat that's building up in Minnesota. But a lot of that tomorrow will track southwest of us, right there. We will get brushed, though, with clouds and perhaps a shower or thunderstorm here. And then another round. So this is going to basically reload Friday night into Saturday, only further to the north, right there. Again, this is late Friday night into Saturday. These storms will then race across northern Wisconsin, the UP, perhaps bringing some damaging wind potential with that into, far northern lower Michigan and the UP. And then this front will kind of get hung up there. It's the leading edge of the hot air. That's where these storms are riding along and feeding off of. That's coming in. And then those storms will kind of situate themselves up there through the afternoon. So we could have a pretty stormy day up north on Saturday. And then the heat will start building in. And you see Sunday and Monday, those are the warm days. We're looking at low. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see some mid-90s in some spots as we move forward here. We'll throw you in the heat index, what it will feel like. There's Saturday. Now, our southern area is very warm. Up north, not as much because that's where those storms will be. But look at the heat index, what it will feel like. At Milwaukee, 108. Grand Rapids, 100 degrees is what it's going to feel like Saturday. And then Sunday, take a look. Alpena, it'll feel like 102 Sunday afternoon. Even up in Marquette, you think of up on Lake Superior, a little cooler, not so much, 103, the heat index up there. So you get the general idea. That's going to be a hot end to our weekend coming up here. Then gradually we'll start cooling down. Sunday and Monday hot. Tuesday cooling down some, and then it stays active. We continue to see chances for some showers and thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday, into next Thursday, Maya. So a lot going on in the weather center over here. Got all the computers running and a lot going on, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Got to keep you busy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but coming up next, if you've been missing sports director Harrison Beebe, you'll get to hear his voice in the latest Jimmy John Sports Corner in just a few minutes. The Pickford track and field program is coming off of a pretty productive spring in the Upper Peninsula. Junior Talia Schreiber added to her running legacy with 4 individual state titles and helping the girls win a Division II team title. And the boys team won for a 4th straight year. But as we learned from the head coach, this is not anything new to them. Both joined sports director Harrison Beebe and the latest Jimmy John Sports Corner.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
So going into this spring, you had 2 cross-country titles and 2 track titles, and you walked away with 4 this year. What made it about this year? Were you just hungry enough and able enough to want to do those just in general, and it worked out to you guys won a team title as well?
Wanting to win for my team was definitely there. That motivated me a lot, when it got hard. But I also feel like I came into the season with a little bit better base and training under my belt than I had last season.
And then how soon after that 4th victory did you find out you guys won the team title?
Winning the team title was just amazing. Came down to our 4x4. We were really nervous. We were sitting on the field just waiting, and then when the score finally came in, it was just exhilarating.
An achievement of 3 straight years. It means you've had a lot of great athletes go through that program. What is winning and being at the top of that podium meant to you and building this group up into what it is today?
We've done 3 straight years in Division II, and then the year prior we were in Division III, we won it. So it's the past 4, but that's just a very small amount to when it comes to Pickford track. Back in the day with Webb Morrison and his 27 years in a row they won it. So 4 is no big deal here.
But does it feel like if it had been a little bit of a drought, to have this run that you have now, does that feel like, hey, Pickford track is back to where they've been for all those decades?
I've been here for 11 years, and I see the athletes that walk through the halls, and I coach football and I coach basketball, and they're going to be good at something. And if they join track, we always try to find what they're good at. And it's a numbers game. If you have the kids in the events, they're going to do well. And I think now, winning these 4 in a row, everybody's kind of getting on the same page. We can do this year in and year out.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Let's take a look at the final results for our question of the day. Have you been scaling back in your discretionary spending? Really no surprise here. 67% of voters saying yes, 33% no. We have about 80 comments over on our Facebook page. So again, you can always join in on the conversation over there. Red says been scaling back for years. Sharon says no, have found prices down a little. Sharon, let us know where you are shopping. You got to spread that knowledge with us. I think a lot of us could really benefit from that information. But we are all out of time here on Unscripted. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you back here on Up North Live News at 11 tonight.